President of the Dutch Central Bank and a member of the Governing Council of the ECB. What we should be mindful of, I've learned from the past, it's almost impossible to predict what's going to happen next year. That is my first remark. There are so many, not only known unknowns, but also unknown unknowns. My second key thing is, since you can't predict the future, build in buffers in your system, so that there's always a buffer to cope with things you couldn't foresee. And the third is, I'm living in Europe. Europe should realize that it's a unique experiment, but it's built on the European history, and you should remember that history. If we do not continue building that unified Europe, we might run into problems in the future again.
My name is Marijke Kanters, and I am on the board of Tuca Financial Services, and also have past ties with the CMEPA, and that's what brought me here today. What I take away from this meeting today is, I think one of the things that really came to my, or that really got my attention, is that we're all interdependent, and I think Europe needs to rise a little bit above itself and form political ties as well. That probably might not happen in the near future, but that is something that will become more and more necessary.
I'm Stephen Kluss. I'm a member of the Executive Board of the European Union Chamber of Commerce, as well as Vice President of the Canada-Poland Chamber of Commerce. And professionally, I work in the field of commercial real estate. I was here today, amongst other things, as a representative of the European Union Chamber. And in view of the statements that were made today, probably they were more general than anything about just the current state of the European economy. In my opinion, the European future of the economy lies in the eastern countries, the newer member states, Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, etc. That's the biggest room for growth, I think, in the next 5 years or so. The Western states had some hiccups there with the recent economic downturn, and it's not a well-known fact, but Poland, out of all 27 countries of the European Union, was the only country with a positive GDP in the last 2 years since. So these kind of things are probably relevant information for foreign investors interested in the European market to keep in mind.
Hi, I'm Michelle Wassenaar, and I am taking away from today's talk that we really need the cooperation of the country's banks. But as Dr. Welling said, it's the politicians who have to make the big decisions, not the banks. So I thought that was an interesting point that he made.
Hello, my name is André van der Reden. I'm a director and board secretary for the Belgian Canadian Business Chamber, one of the co-hosts for this evening's event. I think my key insight that I took from Dr. Welling is the need really for more cooperation and more interaction between different national governments to work together, and certainly the commentaries he was making about how when he was a child, everybody recalled that in the 50s, after the post-World War II era, the need to work together to create a Europe, and how now this is not such a common trend or recognition anymore, and that everybody's starting to go back into a more isolationist stance, that we need to break out of that. So there is that need to cooperate and to work together, and that these relationships are going to be built on also on trust and mutual respect for each other.
My name is Ines Mitchell, and until November last year I was Senior Advisor of the Economic Department at the Consulate General of the Netherlands here in Toronto. I have a very strong affiliation with the CNBPA, so even though I'm not actively involved anymore, I do tend to keep in touch with the Dutch business community. So that's why I came here today, and of course the visit of Dr. Nout Welling from Holland is very special for all of us, so that's why I was here. My key takeaway is that even though the economic The financial picture's been pretty bleak. Listening to Dr. Wellink, I think we're on the road to recovery.
My name is Christian Frécy. I'm the president of the EUCOCIT, the European Union Chamber of Commerce in Toronto. I came here today because we were very pleased to host Dr. Wellink and Mark Carney for an economic outlook, talk about the finance in the world and where we are. And I think it was a very successful event, a lot of insights. And I will say my main take from a very wise governor with a lot of experience is that, yes, we need to regulate more. We need to make sure that all the countries in the global financial world work together and cannot go on their own and default on their debt, but work together and to have the security mechanisms to go along with it. I think this was a very strong message.
So it was a great success. I think if you see, it was very well attended. And I think the president of the Dutch Central Bank, Nout Welling, he gave a very interesting insight in what is the current state of affairs in Europe, financially, economically. And I think that was what captured the audience. He pointed out that we are facing a serious situation. I think the Netherlands is coping with it. Maybe better than many other European countries, but still that we have to be very careful and watch very carefully what decisions to take for the future. The president of the central bank mentioned it, that the Dutch-Canadian relationship, especially in the economic field, is developing prosperously. You're doing very well. He mentioned a fact that few people know, that indeed the Netherlands is the number 3 investor in Canada, after the US and the UK. That's maybe not a surprise, but that we are number 3. The Netherlands, a small country, I think that is quite a surprise.